I'd like to pull back and do, ask you a question as far as macroeconomics, something that's probably going to, impact all of these markets. China, Iran, Russia, they're having more and more movement towards divesting towards away from the U.S. dollar. Then we've got the Holy Grail oil deal that Russia says is about 98% done, and about the oil will start flowing in 2018, according to Russia. On top of that, we have some interesting facts suggesting gold and silver fixing in London. What's the big picture here? Are we looking at decreased USD usage in the world? Are we looking at the role of the London Metal Exchange being perhaps replaced by Shanghai or New Delhi or Moscow?
Well, in general, I believe that if you look at the weight of the European and the American economy within the global economy, and you look at the weight and the importance of emerging economies within the global economy. So a trend has been very clear for the last 20, 25 years, and this is the diminished importance of the Western economies, the US and Western Europe, within the global economy, and a rise in economic clout of emerging economies led in particular by China. And with China, the demand for resources increased, so the economies that supplied the resources also improved significantly. So in general, I think as the US economic hegemony diminishes and eventually it will vanish the way British hegemony vanished 100 years ago, other countries will become more important, and this will have obviously not only economic consequences, but in my view, geopolitical consequences.
There's bound to be some US pushback against that.
Well, we have the neocons in America, and the Americans, they believe in meddling into other people's business and so forth. They're not going to retreat just like this. But it should be clear, why do we have tensions at the present time in Asia? For China, the number one consideration strategically is to always have access to resources. Oil from the Middle East, iron ore, copper from Australia, and so forth. No resources, no economy in China, period. And they know very well that they are encircled by American military and naval bases around Asia, Okinawa, Philippines, Singapore, and so forth. The Americans even have troops here in Thailand. So the Chinese, with this pivot to Asia, as suggested 1.5 years ago by Mrs. Clinton, they feel threatened. And it's interesting that the tensions with Vietnam broke out in early May, following the agreement with the Philippines that the US could station essentially an unlimited number of troops in the Philippines. I'm not God. I'm not here to judge who is right and wrong. But if I were China, and if you look at geopolitics in Asia from a Chinese perspective, it's completely unacceptable in the long run to have American military presence in Asia. The way for the Americans, it's unacceptable if there was a military presence by China or Russia in the Caribbean, in Mexico, in Canada. That Americans can't see that is beyond me.
It's just, you want to...
It's the still arrogant Western attitude of imperialism and control everybody.
And especially when you're in your own backyard, you'd like to at least
of course,
your own backyard.
Of course.
You can understand that.
And you can, as a large power like France and Britain and America, you may be able to push around small countries, but you can't push around a country that has a population twice the size of Europe and the United States, and has become a relatively modern state with military that is very powerful.
Interesting.